SpaceX set to launch Israel's first spacecraft later today. If successful, it would become the first privately funded mission to reach the lunar surface. It's an event that is an example of how private companies are changing the dynamics of space. And there's lots of investor interest in the area as well. Chad Anderson's at the center of that. He's the CEO of Space Angels, and he joins us in the studio. Nice to see you again. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So Israel hoping to be the first country to land a privately financed spacecraft on the moon with some help from SpaceX. How big a deal is this?
Certainly a big milestone and a big week for space. This is the first in a twofer. Next week we've got a big milestone as well, but this is a big deal because only 3 superpowers have ever been to the moon: China, the US, Russia. And this is the first privately funded mission. So this is a big deal. They were able to do it with a reported $90 million only, so a fraction of what any of the other missions have cost. And importantly, and really interesting from our point of view, is that it's 3 private companies working together. So SpaceX is a private company. Spaceflight Industries was the broker who arranged this piggyback, this secondary ride share to fly along with the larger satellite, and a privately funded lunar lander. So they launched tonight, which is very exciting, and then we will be watching over the next 2 months as it works its way to the lunar surface.
So the SpaceX side of it is, because they're the rocket gang, right? So their rocket technology helps them to get there. I thought it was kind of interesting, even a little bit confusing on the investment side, because it looks like Israeli philanthropists, for example, have helped to finance this happening. I guess, is this giving us a case study of how these ventures happen? Like, to your point, Israel's not a large country. We've only seen China and Russia and the US send people to the moon so far. Is this giving us a template on how you get the job done? You just need different sources, basically?
Yeah, they're all being funded in different ways, and so I wouldn't say that this is a template. They're unique in a lot of different ways, but in one way in particular is that they're a nonprofit, and they're funded by philanthropists. And they had a team of Israeli students and scientists, 200 plus, I think, that came together, joined forces to make this mission happen. So this is the first private mission, but there are a number of others that are slated to go over the next 12 to 18 months. One of them is a company that we work with called Astrobotic that is completely privately funded, has won some contracts with NASA and is a close partner with them. They won $10 million last year. They're part of the CLPS program, Commercial Lunar Payload Services, which is $2.6 billion over the next 10 years for NASA to go back to the moon but partner with private companies this time. And so there are a number of companies that are in the running for that. Astrobotic is obviously, we're a little biased, but they've made a lot of great strides, and they've got a launch booked in 2020. And there are some others as well that are coming over the next few years. So it's going to be a really interesting few years for moon companies.
Well, you guys are up to something like 30 investments or so in space-related business. Yeah. For people who are fascinated by what's going on, don't really know how the investing landscape works, what are the key things to know? First of all, are any of these companies accessible in the public markets? And I would imagine that the time horizon is not 3 months from now. It's more like a 3, 5, 10-year story to be watching?
They're venture capital type investments, and that's what we focus on, right? So they're not available in the private markets yet. There are some space stocks available, but these are the incumbents that are really being disrupted and by some of these new entrepreneurial ventures. And so we look at it as 2009 was really the time when the barriers to entry came down. That's when SpaceX had their first successful launch. Yeah. They reduced the cost, and they published their pricing and brought some transparency to the market, which allowed for entrepreneurs to build business plans and raise funding. That's when we've seen all of the entrepreneurs have come in since then. And since then, $18 billion has been put to invested into 400 plus companies. And 75% of that has come in the last 4 years, right? So we're really early in this, and it's all happening now. So the action is really in the early stage companies, and that's where we focus. So we're a $50 million fund. We have 2 products. We have a traditional venture capital fund and an angel fund, which allows for individuals to invest smaller amounts of money on the order of $25,000 to get into these companies and choose the companies that they would like to invest in. So definitely early stage companies, definitely VC type investments.
And before you go, I mean, I was at an event, tech event this week, and this ambitious young entrepreneur started telling me about something. I couldn't even understand it, but it had something to do with winning satellite business based here in Ontario. What's happening with Canadian startups? Are they factoring into the space startup race right now?
A lot. So our most recent fund has 7 investments, and 3 of them are in Canadian companies. I'm here as part of the Creative Destruction Lab, and speaking to you as well. I was there yesterday. Some very interesting things going on. This is a program that focuses on startups that attracts them from all over the world, and they do different streams: quantum, AI, blockchain. Space is one of the streams in the Toronto CDL program, and I'm here looking at these companies, and so we are certainly interested in these companies, and we've made investments in Canada, and we're looking to do a lot more.
Pretty fascinating story, Chad. Always good to get your perspective on it. Chad Anderson of Space Angels joining us.